I received a message from a subscriber that asked how to import, edit, and various ways of handling step files. So let's go through that. I think that's a great topic. Let's go to File, and we can say Open, or we can simply click on the Open button here. And in this menu, I can navigate to and select a step file. And you can see that our step file opens up here in FreeCAD. There's a few things depending on the step file that we may want to do before we can edit it. The first thing is we want to make sure that this is solid. So I'll go make an appeal to the Part workbench here. And up here in the ribbon, I'm going to click on Part, and actually I'll make sure that I'm standing on my part, and I'll click Rebuild if I need to. We'll go to Part and Convert to Solid. And you may wonder, well, how do I know if I need to convert to solid or not? And I'd say, if in doubt, convert to solid. We'll go to View, and we'll pull up our report view. So we're going to say View, Panels, and I'll click on Report View. You can see down here, our worm gear is ignored because it is already a solid. I did this once before, so you can see both times. So if it's a solid, you don't really have to worry about it because it's already a solid. Next. Once we know that it's a solid, we can obviously use the Part workbench to make the changes that we would like to see. For instance, if I jump into the sketcher, click on a face, and then maybe I want to make a hole in there, right? Then we can go back to the Part workbench, we can extrude, and we'll go with symmetric. I'll make it really long so we go all the way through, and then we can click our gear and then click our tool in that order and cut. And a hole has been made in our part, right? So you can use the CSG workflow from the Part workbench to make the edits as you'd like to see them. Or if you're kind of like me and you love the Part Design workbench and you'd rather use that for kind of a modern feeling workflow, then let's go through how to do that. First, we'll change this to Part Design. And then when I head over to my model tree, of course, Part Design wants an active body to work on, and we can insert one using this icon. But if I just have an active body and I try editing things, right, it doesn't quite know what to do when I want to sketch on it. This isn't the active body. We're not going to actually edit this gear. So the real handy thing to do is to take our body and drag and drop it into our Part Design body that we've created. And just like that, it imports as a base feature, and FreeCAD automatically toggles this body originally that we were originally working with to be invisible. So now that we have a base feature in Part Design, and that does include the hole that we put in with our Part workbench, now I can edit this like a normal body in Part Design. And maybe I wish to insert another hole, or maybe a square hole, because that is just so manufacturable. We'll close that, and then I can use my regular tool to cut, and I'll say through all, OK. And just like that, we've got our hole in there. So we can extrude, we can loft, we can sketch, we can do all the normal things that we do in FreeCAD when we edit our bodies and models. So next, how do we reposition some of these parts? That was asked of me as well. And I can go to my active body, right click, and choose Transform. And here I'm given a triad where I can translate and I can rotate. And you can see that as I go to rotate, it goes a little bit and it just snaps into these rotations, right? We can adjust those increments here. I stop every 15 degrees when I rotate, and I move 1 millimeter every time that I move, right? So that's a millimeter, that's a millimeter, that's a millimeter, and so on. So every snap is a millimeter, but I can get it really nice and smooth if I put in a really small number in my rotation increment. So I'm not limited by the presets that it comes with. I can make them whatever I'd like. Now for my rotation increment, maybe I know I want to rotate it, 17 degrees or some oddly specific number. Then I can just snap it once and know that I've rotated it 17 degrees. Likewise, if I want to move it 90 degrees, makes it really easy to just know that you've moved 90 degrees and on specifically which axis you've moved. Now I'm going to click cancel, and I'll hit Control Z a few times to reposition my part back the way it was. And of course I'm just panning with my center mouse wheel button here. And it looks like I hit Control Z too many times because in my tree I still see my sketch, so I'm going to hit Control Y, or I can hit this button here to start redoing some of the things. And how do I copy my bodies? Well, if I click on my body, the easiest method is to go Control C with my body highlighted, and it allows me to select any dependencies that I want. I'm going to leave everything selected, say OK, go back to my tree and click Control V, and it pastes a duplicate body. And how do I move it? Well, we know how to move it from Transform. So we can duplicate bodies and we can reposition bodies just like that. Now I am going to delete that body. And I can also delete this instance of cut. And the tree just keeps on coming, but we'll get there. And there we are. Right, so I'm back to my base feature where I'm at. So that should be everything you need to know. And then I was also asked how to assemble these parts. And that would be, I really like the A2 Plus workbench, which I don't have installed right now because I switched my Linux install so much that I often lose the things that I install. But I have a video on A2 Plus. I have another video on A3. So those are some great options. Hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.